Good morning, everyone. My name is MightyStream, and I am going to do your January the 12th, just for today, in a meditation. How are you doing this morning? I hope you're doing well. I'm doing great. If you need to reach me, feel free to do so at recoveryofhope21@gmail.com. The title of today's meditation is Spiritual Awakenings. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps. Step 12. How will I know when I've had a spiritual awakening? For many of us, a spiritual awakening comes gradually. Perhaps our first spiritual awareness is as simple as a new appreciation for life. Maybe one day we'll suddenly discover the sound of birds singing early in the morning. The simple beauty of a flower may remind us that there is a power greater than ourselves at work around us. Often, our spiritual awakening is something that grows stronger over time. We can strive for more spiritual awareness simply by living our lives. We can persist in efforts to improve our conscious contact through prayer and meditation on a daily basis. We can listen within for the guidance we need. We can question other addicts about their experiences with spirituality. We can take time to appreciate the world around us. Just for today, I will reflect on the spiritual awakenings I have experienced. I will strive to be God conscious. I will take time out in the day to appreciate my higher power's handiwork. Let's take a moment of silence followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please and thank you. I do believe we were talking a little bit about this yesterday at some point, talking about our higher power, talking about something greater than ourselves, being in nature, or sometimes just being in the eyes of another human being. And when I say just, believe me, having human connection is no just. It's a huge difference for us. We have been having spiritual awakenings from the point that we stopped using drugs and turned our lives over to a new way of living. So I want to make sure that we understand that these spiritual awakenings happen long before we get to step 12. There are different types of spiritual awakenings, and this just for today mentions that it could happen. It could just be that we are able to enjoy nature or enjoy a circumstance and see and feel the presence of a loving higher power reaching for us and guiding us and directing us through the words of someone else's share. I think that spiritual awakenings are deeply personal. They're not planned, and they take place in a manner that generally awakens one's spirit for the good in a positive way. We assume that spiritual awakenings are always positive, right? The results of them, I believe, should always be positive, but sometimes through storms, some kind of way, we have a spiritual awakening. Some way, somehow, we realize that in the midst of that tornado, we were in the eye of the storm. We were in a calm place, that everything was blowing around us and it was chaotic. but we came out on the other side of it with a value and appreciation for human life. I know many people that has suffered many losses that a tornado would cause in a spiritual sense, but it made them better. It didn't make them worse. It made them more approachable, more accessible, more responsible, more accountable, more honest, more loving, more caring, more genteel, right? So let's remember that it may not be some huge spiritual awakening in the 12th step that we have, even though you should and will have one as a result of working these steps, right? And applying these spiritual principles in all of our affairs. That will happen for you. I can almost guarantee it. However, I do want to say having it is much dependent on your perspective. It's much dependent upon where you are at spiritually, what awareness you have. It's very difficult to actually work this program of recovery and not have many spiritual awakenings. And when I say many, I mean MINI. And I mean many, MANY. You are going to have them, but it depends on whether or not your spirit is aware that it's taking place. I I don't know. There's been times when I've been somewhere and there was some chaos going on and people, didn't you hear the guns shoot? No, actually, I wasn't listening for that. I didn't. I was too busy doing such and such, or I was in the kitchen preparing dinner. No, I didn't hear that. It is possible to have these awakenings, the opportunity, I should say, for them, but be so distracted with life that our spirit doesn't pick them up. And if that's the case, we just want to tune our station in spiritually so that the reception, that's a beautiful correlation, that the reception is better. My name is Mighty Stream, and today I want you to go forward in January 12th and reflect on the spiritual awakenings that you've experienced. I want you to strive to be more God conscious or more higher power conscious. And I want you to take time out in your day to appreciate your higher power's handiwork. Take a walk. Maybe you haven't gotten out to take a walk. I mean, since COVID, people have been driving everywhere. You can go to the grocery store and see cars are still parked every other space, like the car might catch COVID, right? So maybe you've been shut in and you haven't gotten out. Maybe you're just not a person that walks anywhere. You drive everywhere you go. Today, weather permitting, health permitting, challenge yourself. I am going to walk 2 blocks and come back. And I am going to strive to be aware of nature as I walk. One of the most beautiful things happens. I live near a park uh, in the Celery Flats. Many people will know that area. It's like a forest out here. There's not a morning I cannot wake up and see whole groups and families of deer standing around grazing or walking down the middle of the sidewalk or street. There's so many opportunities to have our spiritual awakening just by being more conscientious. Today, get out in nature and appreciate it, value it. You know what I love to do still today? In my backyard, I get all of these crazy acorns. I love to take the bottom of them, put my two thumbs, the knuckles of them, and form a triangle on top of it and see how loud I can blow that acorn. Have you ever done that? That is one of those childhood things I used to do that still brings me nostalgia. Today, I want you to go forward in the flow of the stream and do something mighty. Have a beautiful day today. I intend to. Talk to you soon.